Let's do this right now. Okay, so I'm going to say welcome everybody to our drawing for the new year. January 2nd today, and we literally just started into the new year, and today is a new moon, which is like the perfect time to set intentions. And today we can really set intentions for the year to come, which sounds like a very big thing, but we will break it down and make it very accessible and visualize it in a beautiful way with a Neurographica drawing. For everyone who doesn't know me, my name is Antje Howard. I am a Neurographica teacher. I actually have a academic background in education as well. But the year before last, I learned Neurographica. I got to know Neurographica and went deep into the method through a 1-year-long teacher training, which was very life-changing for me. And I am a big fan of this method that I'm going to introduce to you today. We're going to go through a simple 7-step process. And my idea was to set intentions for the year in a little bit a different way. And yeah, we're just going to do it with a drawing. In Neurographica, we always draw a theme. So our theme for today will be the new year, 2022, and everything that it might bring, that we might want to bring into the year. But before we start, I would like to invite everyone into a very short meditation, because I always feel that it's good to just come into a common space for everyone where we can resonate easier. So I invite you to just make yourself comfortable, however that looks like or feels like for you right now. If you're seated, I invite you to really feel your feet on the ground. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and we can just start with taking a few deep breaths. Checking in with your body, checking in with yourself, and really finding where you are right now without judgment, without trying to change anything. Just allowing your breath to enter your body, to leave your body. And you can allow your breath to grow long and deep and slow down a little bit. And then I would like to invite you to take a deep breath, and with that breath, let go of anything that happened today before this moment. Breathing it in and exhaling out of your mouth. Letting it go. And if it feels good, you can release a sigh or a sound as well. If there's any tension that needs to be let go, you can repeat that a few times if it feels good. Coming closer to this moment, to the here and now. And let us take another deep breath and letting go of anything that's in the future that might come tomorrow or tonight. Breathing it in slowly and exhaling out of your mouth. Excuse me for 1 second. Just keep breathing. Okay. Let's take a few more deep breaths. And with every breath, you can imagine relaxing a little bit more. And then let's take one big breath where we can arrive here and now. Breathing in slowly and exhaling. Feeling your body, how it is, where it is, right now, right here. You can take another deep breath. And also checking in with your emotions. How are you feeling right now? And a third breath. Checking in with your thoughts. Are your thoughts here and now, or are they drifting? Just becoming aware of those 3 layers of our identity, of our consciousness. And then I invite you to bring your hands together and rub them together for a moment. Bringing warmth into the hands. Allowing the blood to flow. And then placing your hand over your eyes for a second. And imagine you establish a connection between your hand and your eyes. Between that what you see and that what you're going to draw today. Aligning it. Breathing into this beautiful connection for a moment. And then you can just start rubbing your face if that feels comfortable. Your head or neck. And just allowing your hands to go wherever they feel comfortable at this moment. Waking yourself up. Bringing yourself into the space. And to our piece of paper. So I prepared a piece of paper here. I use very simple pens to draw. I actually have this kind of Sharpie pen that I use. So I am of the mindset that Neurographica can be done with any material. So whatever you have at hand is good. And now that we're talking about intentions, I would like to invite you to just place your hands on your piece of paper for a moment. Tuning yourself in with this space, with your materials. And you can imagine that energy out of your hands is pouring onto your paper. Maybe taking another deep breath. And then what we're going to start with is just very simple lines. We call these neurographic lines. I have my paper facing the long side up, like in a portrait kind of way. You could also do it the other way. You could also turn it. But I like to do it like this because the first thing that I want to draw is kind of like a thing that I used to do with a friend when I was back in Germany. We would always on New Year's tie our wishes to rockets and blast them into the sky. And so that is what I would like to invite you to imagine now. Rockets, they don't always go straight. So the line that we use is never straight and does not have a pattern. And I invite you to just move your pen upwards from the bottom up and imagine how whatever you wish for in the next year is being shot into the sky like a rocket. And it even goes beyond our paper. So I always start at the very bottom and I move all the way to the top. Every line will be different, just as all of my wishes are a little bit different. And I try to not consciously control where I go. I try to find a path that is a little bit surprising for me almost, where just like with a rocket, I am not 100% in control. I'm going to do maybe 7 or 8 of these lines, not too many. Moving through the picture, as you see, they can overlap. They will create different shapes and patterns. I got 7, I'm going to do 1 more. And just feeling into this kind of thought of not having to control everything. Like when we look into the next year, we're not going to be able to control everything that happens. But we can, of course, shoot our wishes into the sky and give them to the universe and then see what happens. So now talking about our wishes, what I would like to invite you is to choose maybe 3 or 4 intentions that you want to set for the new year. If you only have 1 or 2, that's totally fine too. But I would say maybe not more than 5. You don't want to like overwhelm your picture. And you can place them wherever they feel like, really kind of, now we have some kind of shape going up into our picture. And now I'm just going to feel into the places here and I decide where my intentions sit. And I will add them as circles. So we're going to add circles to the picture. They can have any size. So I'm just going to go with whatever it feels like. They don't have to be perfect, of course. Since we're all human, we don't have to be perfect. Our circles don't have to be perfect. Our intentions don't have to be perfect. They are just right for us at this moment. I'm going to go around a few times and I will name my intention as well. The first one for me, since I'm pregnant right now, is to have the most natural birth that I can have. That is like a big intention that I'm setting for myself. And I'm going to write that somewhere in my circle. I actually write that on the outside, but you can write it anywhere in your circle. And I really like to write into the pictures as well. That way, when I look at it later, it can give me again a new message, or it can reinforce the message that I put into the picture. And then I'm going to go ahead and find another circle. Circles can overlap, and they can also even go outside of the picture. I'm going to do a big one here, where it's only like a partial circle. And that is taking on the role of the mother, which is a new role for me. So that's why it's a gigantic intention and it's going to go beyond this year. That's why I have it big like this. Motherhood. And of course, I could say I want to be a good mother. I'm just going to say motherhood. I'm just going to say I want to slowly grow into this role, allow myself to grow there. And then I'm going to add another one. It's a little bit overlapping this one as well. So as I said, circles can have any size. They can overlap. This one I will call kind of a new business. I know that my business is going to change. with my new role as a mother. So it kind of makes sense too that it's overlapping here. So just feel into what is important for you this year, what comes up for you. And then also another very big one for me is my relationship. That will probably change with our new situation. And there I also want to set an intention for my relationship. And I want to deepen my relationship. So for me, all of those are pretty connected, but of course they can be all kinds of different things as well. So now, one thing that I was thinking of that I find very interesting to maybe look at, I hope that's kind of interesting for you as well, is to look into each intention on our different levels as well. So I don't want to just stop with putting up the intention and staying at that. I also want to look deeper into it and look into what I actually need to do to make this intention come true, or to fulfill this intention for me. So I'm going to actually go ahead and draw a circle inside my first circle. And this one will be for the way I have to think, or the way I want to think, my mental state that will help me with this intention. And of course, natural birth for me has a lot to do with how I think about it. So for me here in the thinking is a lot of trust is necessary. Trust and also knowledge. So I'm studying a lot about it at the moment, and I think that that's going to help me. So I would like to invite you to kind of break down all of these different intentions. I'm going to break it down for the first one now in all three levels. The next level that is below that one, basically, is the emotional level. So how do I meet my emotions? Or what kind of emotions do I need and invite to allow this intention to come true? So here, of course, I want kind of positive emotions. I would like to feel, I'm going to say in awe, maybe, because it seems very amazing for me. So I want to be amazed and positive. Thinking and feeling and experiencing this natural childbirth. And then on the most innermost level, we're talking about the physical level. And that can, of course, be your body. How does your body feel? How do you want your body to experience and help you with this intention? But it could also be on a physical level, your surrounding. For example, if your intention has to do with business or with money or something like this. So think about like what kind of change do you need on a physical level to dive into this intention. So for me here is strength and perseverance. So I've broken down my original intention and really think about what needs to happen on each level in a way. I'm going to do that with the other ones as well now. So now maybe I go to the business one. So here on a mental level, I got to think about, okay, how can I renew myself? I need new ideas. And on an emotional level, I want to experience like having fun with it, ease, where it's not stressful. And I invite you to really think about positive formulations for all the things. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can kind of follow that and apply it to whatever you got. And on a physical level, for me, it's about connection with people. So that would be how I imagine, how I feel into this intention of renewing my business. And I'm going to go to my relationship, do the same thing here. Thinking about how can I deepen my relationship? What kind of state of mind is necessary there? It's going to be openness for me. It's important. And going into the emotional, I think here the most important is to just become more aware of my emotions. So you don't have to name the emotion, but you can also just think about how you want to meet your emotions, for example. Awareness. And then on physical level, it will be finding new connection. And then lastly, I'm going to go into my last big circle and also do the same thing there. Thinking here about motherhood and all the mental changes I need. And here is kind of learning, I feel, being open to learning, especially mentally, being open for new things. And emotionally, I feel it's just love is important. Love is going to happen. That's like the base of motherhood for me. And on a physical level is providing safety. So I hope you found something meaningful for you in all these different levels. So what we're going to do next is connect everything together. And I'm going to just take another piece of paper for everyone that has not done Neurographica before. All of you who are already knowledgeable in this, that you can just start rounding now. But everyone who had never done Neurographica, I'm going to just show what I'm talking about here. So I just make a tiny example. I have my circle here and I have 2 lines. And now we will look at all the crossings where lines cross each other, where my lines cross my circle. I have, like everywhere, I have little X's like this. So what we want to do now is, instead of having 2 lines that cross each other, we want to create a point of connection there. And we do that by rounding out this corner. So I always like to imagine I'm just driving down the road and going around the corner. And then instead of having this X, I have this kind of note here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all over my drawing, going to every point where 2 lines cross and creating a connection there. And the way I like to do that, especially when I have a lot of little lines is that I go into the shapes and the figures that are created inside where my lines cross. And so I'm kind of exploring the space in between the lines. And I mostly go over the lines, over each one more time. And then going inside there, rounding it all out until I end up with a figure that really looks connected. So instead of having all these crossings, so to say, I have little connection points here. And I know for someone who just starts doing Neurographica, that might take a while. So please, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's totally fine if you miss a few corners here and there. Just try it out and allow yourself to go into this drawing and imagine that you really connect everything. That's the purpose of it. So I'm going to go now here, and I just start in the bottom, or you can start in any figure wherever you want. And I just round out all the little corners that I see. And as I said, it's totally fine if you miss a few or if they're not perfect. It's really not about that. But what it's about and what I invite you to do right now is to become aware of yourself, of your body sensations, of your emotional state, and of your thoughts. Being with yourself while you do the drawing, really turning it into a self-observation where you observe whatever comes up for you in this process now. As you go through the different figures that you created, through all the lines that you created, and connecting them all together. And for everybody to be, to make it a little bit easier to feel into that, I'm going to just be quiet for a few minutes as well, so that you can listen to your own thoughts and just feel into this process. Maybe you can come into a kind of flow state with it. If you don't, that's totally fine too, though. And I also just go over my writing. So it's okay if you can't read exactly every word anymore afterwards. Don't worry about that. It's all about anchoring it into your subconscious, and your subconscious will remember what is up there, what is connected to these words, what's connected to these shapes. So I invite you to just start breathing, observing your breath as well, and your body, your emotions, your mind, while you do this drawing, while you round. Oh, it's emotional, physical, and mental is the third one, Wendy. I'm sorry, I just saw your question. Yeah. So we have the mental, the emotional, and the physical. Sorry, I saw the question a little bit late, probably. I hope you figured it out.
Thank you.
So we're going to do that for Let's see, maybe 7-8 minutes now. Let's see how long it takes. If you don't get everything finished, don't worry. It's really just about getting into the flow a little bit, experiencing this connecting of the strands of your picture, the figures and the lines. And as I said, we're not striving for perfection, we strive for experience here. So it's all about what you feel, what you think, and what your body, how your body reacts to what you do, and about your awareness of yourself. This is what we want to train with this. So you can really just kind of see it as a little exercise, a little training. I'm going to quiet down for a few minutes so you can listen to yourself. Always reminding yourself to breathe. And you might find out that some of your intentions become way more complex than others. Some of them, so many little connections, so many little lines. Just really feeling into that without judging it, There's no good or bad in it. Just becoming curious, maybe, of what you experience, of what you see. Maybe you can relate it somehow. How this intention is more or less complex. Hopefully it makes sense somehow. And if it doesn't in your conscious mind, then it might still in your subconsciousness build itself together somehow. And the information that you may need might come to you at some point. I'm gonna give it another, I think maybe 3 minutes. And as I said, don't panic if you're not done with that yet. That's totally fine. I know it's a lot of connection with all the circles that we were drawing. You can, of course, come back to this later as well. So one good thing in Neurographica is that even though we go through these 7 steps, we can always come back and round some more at a later point if we feel like it. I'm going to try to round most of my drawing though, to make it easier to continue. And of course, everybody who watches the recording, they can stop it until they're done with this part. But yeah, the most important point is that you hopefully experience this process of rounding. A lot of people find it very relaxing. I hope you find it relaxing. Or just deepening into yourself with it. And literally training your awareness with it. So even if you have negative thoughts come up or something like this, for example, just become aware of it. Just really stay with it. Feel into it. Feel maybe the emotion behind it or the thought behind it, the pattern that's showing itself here. And just continue drawing and breathing and being with whatever is. And maybe there's even an insight for you in there, something that comes up, a little understanding. And maybe it even helps to go back to a different circle. I just had this feeling of slight stress when I was in my mother's circle, and I told myself I don't actually have to be stressed. And now I'm back in my relationship circle, and even though the circle is very complex, has a lot of different little connections, it makes me feel really calm. So I can also see how that influences each other, how that gives me energy to go back into the big circle and explore that a little bit more. Oh. And breathing always helps. Breathing deeply. And of course, it also shows me how I think about these things. I kind of subconsciously read the words I was writing here. They have an effect on me, on my body, on my emotional state, on my thoughts, on my feelings. I get into this feedback loop with me and my drawing, and my thoughts. Oh, okay. And now I'm more or less there. As I said, if you didn't manage to round everything out, that's okay. And you can, if you wish to, come back later, or you can just continue now. That's also fine. And then go through the other steps later. I will move to the next step, which is coloring now. So I color with colored pencils. Those are my go-to tools. And I have this funny little box here. And the way I use the colors is that I just pick a color without thinking about it. The coloring is really a process that is best very intuitive. Here we want to dive even deeper into this kind of space without thinking too much. So I pick a color, got this little purple color here, and I just feel into where it wants to go in my picture first. And I kind of feel this one here. And then what I want to do is move with my pen through the picture and explore the shapes that I see in this very intuitive process. And I'm coloring here one little segment, but that is just to show you that that's not what we're going to do. So we always want to go over the lines, which in my understanding or in my interpretation of the method is to go over our inner boundaries. We want to kind of break our inner boundaries. So we go and connect several different segments of our drawing, like with the lines and with the shapes. We kind of created this segmented space, and now we want to go beyond it. We want to go out of the segmentation, and I'm even going to go into the surrounding here with the colored pencil. Of course, I can kind of nuance, and we don't have to color like in kindergarten and completely fill out every little space perfectly. But here the colors can be very fluid. So I really just feel into the space and I see how much of the color wants to go there. And then whenever I feel it's there, I can go somewhere else in my drawing and just very intuitively, really without thinking about it, without knowing why I do this, I just go move my pen wherever it wants to go right now and explore bigger shapes. So I want this to go beyond the shapes that I see. So I'm not going to color in each circle, but I'm going to go beyond that and really allow the color to open up a different kind of space for me. And that might also open up a different understanding of my picture, a different understanding of how things might be connected. With color also, we can especially dive into the emotional realm. Every color kind of brings up different emotions, maybe memories, or whatever else. Again, just really being with what is, what comes up through the color. And then whenever I feel I got enough of this one, I'm going to just pick the next one without even, like literally, I just grab whichever color I see first, without thinking what it means or anything like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and color some more. We also consider white a color, so we can leave spaces white. And we can also overlap the colors. So now I have this little blue here, and I can allow my blue to go over some of my purple if that feels right. And so now I just go explore where it wants to go. And while we do that, the most important thing is, again, to become aware of yourself. Become aware of how the color feels to you. Maybe what kind of story comes up with it. What emotions are attached to it. Maybe also what it means to you together with these intentions. Maybe your eye just falls onto one of the words that you wrote, and that brings up a thought. But we're never trying to push anything. We always just open up and allow whatever wants to come up to come up. And as I said, you can partially color a segment, so you don't have to stay within the lines. One of the most important things that I learned through Neurographica was to go over the lines, and in a way really to go over my own boundaries that I set myself, mental boundaries, and really kind of freeing that part of me, that creative, that just wants to go however. And again, I'm going to become quiet for a few moments. So we're going to do this for maybe, let's say 5 minutes. And just breathing and exploring. And one more tip, whenever I don't know which color to use next, I like to ask myself which color will make me feel good right now. That is my number one criteria of choosing a color. So if you feel stuck and you really don't know what to do next, just ask yourself which one will make me feel good. And then go with that. And of course, we can also spend a long time coloring like this. So if you feel like you wish to do this for a longer time, you can, of course, also come back to it, color more later. Or if you're watching the recording, always stop the recording and just go as long as you wish. I'm going to go to the next step though, because we got 2 more steps. So what I want to do now is I'm actually going to take a different type of pen. So I've had this kind of thinner one, going to a thicker one now. I actually have this brush pen, but you could also just use just a thicker pen in the same color. It has to be the same color, like the one that we draw the lines with. And now I will draw a few thicker lines, again from the bottom all the way to the top. Oh no, actually, change of plan. We're going to go from the top to the bottom and draw these intention towards us. So you can really imagine how you draw in the energy that you created here. And this line can follow a line that's already there, but it can also go on a new path. And I'm going to go a little bit slower with it. And imagine that it takes all the energy from up there down to me, bringing my intention into reality, bringing it down to me. So I'm going to do this, I think maybe 2 or 3 times. We don't make too many of those, but we can make a few of those. So you can again follow a line that's already there, or go with a completely new direction, kind of following a little bit, but then creating a new pathway from my intentions towards me, bringing them back towards me now that I reflected on them. Now that I brought some color into them. I'm bringing this energy back towards myself, drawing it all down, reconnecting with it, and again, feeling into what that's like. I'm going to maybe make one more. So you can just make as many as you feel until you kind of feel it's balanced. And you ideally want to touch every one of your intentions at least once with this bigger line. I really like to use this brush pen for it because it also makes it kind of irregular, so it looks like a big river. I just imagine it flowing down all the way to me. And bringing this energy down to earth again, down to me, where it can manifest. And then I go through again and connect, round out, like wherever my thick line now went over the other lines. My pen's not working anymore. We can also come back to that one later if it needs to be done more. Just gonna go ahead a little bit. Wherever I see a harsh corner, I'm gonna round it out again so that I can imagine this thick line really brings down the energy and brings it into the whole picture again. It's connected to everything, like a big river network or like blood vessels where everything is connected. So I always want to come back to this rounding process. I'm going to really just quickly do it here, but you probably understand what I mean. Just going along my thick line and making sure everything's smooth, like water, like a river system. So that the energy can flow. That is the kind of feeling that I want to create with it. I want the energy to flow. And of course, I'm going to feel into what that does now. Maybe my emotional state changes, or maybe I have some kind of thought when I look at that. Maybe my body reacts in some kind of way. Again, just staying with yourself, observing without judgment, bringing it towards yourself, bringing it down to yourself. And really imagining all these intentions that we set, really anchoring into reality, becoming reality. And go especially here, the first one for me, the nearest one, where I want my natural, beautiful birth, and I bring it down into my reality, into my body, into my thought, into my emotions. Okay. And I'm not going to do this perfect here right now, even though, of course, I have this little feeling that it has to be really nice, but it's going to be fine. And I'm going to probably come back to this later, go over it one more time to make sure. And now I, as the last step, would like to invite you to choose one of your intentions, one of your circles, the one that you feel maybe turned out to be the most important one, or the one that's kind of the closest, the one that's the nearest in time. And look at it and see which of the levels is the most important. Or maybe it's the whole thing. For me, I guess it's going to be my birthing experience, because it's going to be the closest and it kind of feels very big and important. And then I will go ahead again with my thicker pen. So I'm going to take my other pen again and go around the entire circle, marking it, making it stand out, emphasizing it. And here I can, in theory, like, for example, I could choose the strength and perseverance or the emotions that I want to feel or the thoughts I want to have, but I'm going to choose the entire one. I'm going to choose the outer one because I feel it's important for me to encompass all of that, to focus on this entire experience with everything that comes with it. And I'm just going to go and make the outline of the circle thicker. And with it, it will stand out more in my picture. And of course, my pen doesn't work anymore. I'm going to use a different one. Just going around it. And if you don't have a thicker pen, you can just use your other pen and go around it several times. Just making the outline stick out so that when you look at the picture, this will be the first thing you see. This will be the most important element in the picture. The circle will catch your eye. And with it, we kind of make a decision in our picture what to focus on next. And of course, it doesn't mean that you only focus on that throughout the entire next year, but that you may focus on it first. So allow yourself to make this decision because it's really good for our minds if things are clear, if we know what to look at first, even if we have a very complex picture with many, many different details. And then one more time, I take my other pen and go around the circle, making sure that there's no corners, no harsh corners anymore. Rounding it out one more time, integrating it. And with that, I always integrate it into my mind, into my subconscious, allowing myself to slow down for a moment and to just be with this decision, with this focus that I set for myself right now for the first few months of my year. And then after, whenever this is done, so to say, then I'm going to go back and focus on the other things. But for now, for me, this is the most important one. Even though it's not the biggest one, so it doesn't have to be the biggest one. Okay. And then allow yourself a moment to just be with your picture. Breathe it in. Feel all the colors in there. Feel how everything is connected. And really bringing that into your consciousness as well. How everything in your life is connected. How all your intentions are connected. How hopefully your next year will feel very connected. Okay, now I'm going to come back on camera one last moment. So I hope that that was an interesting experience for you. I would really, really, really love to hear what happened for you, how it worked out, how you like this Neurographica practice as well. Anybody who's watching the recording, you're very welcome to share in my Facebook group, the NeuroArt group. However you found this video, there's probably a link somewhere. And for everyone who's here live, I'm going to stop the recording in a moment and then we can share. So all I have to say now is have a wonderful, blessed 2022. And may all your intentions come to you, manifest for you. May you be able to bring it all down and focus on the right things at the right time. Thank you. And bye-bye, everyone.